Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another new video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another of those shotgun hand cannons. Because today, with the release of Trials, also came our second ever shotgun hand cannon, the Aureus Neutralizer. I was actually really excited for this one to come out, because the perk pool looks so much different than the one from Orange Week. So even if you've been grinding the other shotgun hand cannon all week, this one definitely is going to have some combinations that you will not be able to have on the other one, and also some perks that the other one just doesn't have at all. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the perks that make this weapon unique, what are some of the best ones, and the ones that you should be looking for if you're looking for a god role in this weapon. And then afterwards, we'll have a review where you talk about the things that I like, dislike about the weapon, and anything else related to the weapon. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to leave a like, and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already. And now let's get into it, and first we gotta talk about where to actually get this weapon. And you're gonna be able to get this from Trials wins, and also from the loot chest at the lighthouse. And that's pretty much it. You pretty much just have to get lucky at the end of a Trials match, or get lucky whenever you get to the lighthouse. There's no focusing for this first 6 weeks of Trials, so basically you can just get any of them in the pool. But the new weapons seem to be dropping pretty consistently, at least for me. But it is all down to RNG at the end of the day, so it could take you like 2 games, it could take you 1 game, or it could take you 5 games to really get one of these hand cannons. It's really going to be up to RNG on this one. Now this weapon comes with 3 different origin traits: Hawker Breach Armaments, which is going to let you do increased damage against vehicles and constructs. This one's going to be pretty okay. You also have the Crucible perk, Raw Battle. Whenever you are in combat for a short period of time, you get increased handling and stability. This one's pretty decent, especially the extra handling, since these weapons tend to have lower handling, and the extra stability can also help you with flinch, and that's always good in the Crucible. And the final one is gonna be the new Trials origin trait, Fleet Footed. Dealing damage grants you a short window of increased movement speed and airborne effectiveness, and if you land a final blow, it increases the effects. This one's gonna be another good one. The extra movement speed definitely feels really good with this weapon, especially since you want to always close the gap because of the range that you have on this like shocking hand cannons. So this one actually works pretty well, but this or the Crucible one I think are going to work fine. Both of those definitely help the weapon out. And now let's move on and let's take a look at the most important thing with any weapon. Let's take a look at the trade perks. Now we're going to have a quick overview of all of them, and then we're going to get a little more in depth into some of the best ones, because I know that's what you guys are looking for. And then afterwards we'll talk about some god rolls, so you guys also know what you're looking for with that. So let's not waste any time, let's get into it, and let's take a look at the very first trade perk. Now this is the perk options we have for the very first trade perk: Burrow Constrictor, Grave Robber, Lone Wolf, Threat Detector, Threat Remover, Proximity Power, and lastly Vorpal Weapon. And today we're going to be talking about both Crucible and PVE, so let's start from the top with Burrow Constrictor. This is going to reduce your weapon projectile spread after getting some final blows for a short duration. And this is actually a lot more useful than I originally expected. So this one can definitely be a very solid choice that can lead some better and easier follow-up kills. And it's mostly going to be used for Crucible. You're not really going to need this in PvE, this is mostly a Crucible perk. Next we're going to have Grave Robber. Whenever you get some melee final blows, or you deal some damage with your charged melee, it reloads this weapon from reserves. This one is going to be really good for PvE, and it essentially eliminates the need to manually reload this weapon, which is really good considering these weapons have some terrible, really terrible reload speed. It takes forever to reload these things, so anything that bypasses that or gives you some better reload speed is very good for PvE. And then we're going to have a couple of melee perks in the other slot that we're going to be able to combine with Grave Robber, so this is going to be a fantastic choice when it comes to the Crucible. Next we have Lone Wolf, and this I know is typically a very top tier perk when it comes to the hand cannons, but I feel like when this hand cannon is just not as necessary. It is still good, and it's still a very decent perk that you can put on this hand cannon if you want to use it for Crucible, but it's not like the go-to perk that you always choose over everything else. After that we're going to have the Detector, and this is going to be good for both Crucible, PvE. It gives you tons of handling, tons of reload speed, and some extra stability. All of those things are really going to help. The reload speed is huge, just being able to reload this thing much faster, and the extra handling makes this thing feel like a dream whenever you need it to feel better when you are up close to enemies. And then the extra stability, which is not something that we usually think about, it is going to help with the flinch so you don't get flinched off target and you can always land your shots. So this one's gonna be fantastic for both PvP, PvE. This is gonna be good for both. Next we have Threat Remover, and Threat Remover is more of a PvE perk. Now this is gonna give you some extra reload speed whenever you hit out your pellets, and you're gonna be basically doing that all the time in PvE, meaning that you always have that extra reload speed. And this perk is just so nice, the extra reload speed, the extra handling, and with all the shots that we're constantly putting on enemies in PvE, this thing is essentially always on. After that we're gonna have Proximity Power. There's another really good PvE perk. It's gonna increase your melee stat whenever you get some final blows, and you can stack it up to 3 times for 50% more melee stat. That's just really good. It's really good whenever you have this on a melee build, and if you're thinking of pairing this weapon with a melee build or with some melee specific perks on the second slot, this is going to be basically the perk that you want to go for. It's going to work pretty well together, and it's going to make this thing into a beast. And then the final perk that we have on this weapon is going to be Vorpal. Vorpal in the first slot, which is not something you see too often, but it's perfect for this weapon because it means that we can pair up Vorpal with some other damage perks in the second slot, which is going to make this thing crazy, especially with Lucky Pants. And with having Vorpal in the first slot, it adds more flexibility and even more damage stacking for the Lucky Pants. So this thing is going to be pretty crazy. I'm not sure how well it's going to work because it is a slower hand cannon, but it definitely is worth a try. Now these are the options we have for the second perk. We have Adagio, Cascade Point, Closing Time, Desperate Measures, 1-2 Punch, Trench Barrel, and lastly Opening Shot. And these ones are also going to be pretty good, but they're not going to be as good as the first row where I feel like everything had a use. So let's start from the top with Adagio. Now Adagio is going to give us some increased damage and range after getting a kill, but it will decrease our rate of fire, making this thing feel even slower, but the 30% damage increase and the extra range might still be worth it for you, because it means that you can get more consistent 2 shots in the Crucible, and that 30% damage increase in PvE seems to be pretty nice. Now this has the potential to be pretty good, but I'm not completely sold on Adagio yet. I feel like the decrease to your rate of fire is definitely something you're gonna feel on this weapon specifically, because it already shoots very slow. But it could be something that's just worth it enough for you for that consistency that you want to go for Adagio. Next we're going to have Closing Time, and while Closing Time is a staple on the shotguns, it is just not very good on this hand cannon because it is still a primary ammo weapon, so most of the time we're going to be at full ammo and not really taking advantage of Closing Time. You basically have to like dump most of your magazine if you really want to force Closing Time to be something that you use. So I just don't really find it worth it, and I don't think that you should run it on this weapon. Next we have Desperate Measures, and this is going to give us a damage increase whenever we get a kill with our weapon, or whenever we get a kill with our melee and our grenade. It's 10% whenever we get a kill with a weapon, and 20% if we get a kill with our abilities. And this one, in PvE, it's a really good perk. It's basically something that's always on. You're always going to be stacking this up, you're always going to be spamming abilities, and it's a very easy damage buff to essentially keep up. Now in the Crucible, that extra 10% damage, even though it doesn't seem like a lot, could definitely add a little more consistency after getting a kill with this weapon, meaning that you can get away with shooting people just a little bit farther away, but not too much, or that you can definitely secure that 2-shot kill with this hand cannon. I feel like the damage buffs or even smaller damage buffs are going to be really nice for this hand cannon, as long as they don't reduce our rate of fire. Next we're going to have 1-2 Punch. Whenever you hit an enemy with every pellet, it increases your melee damage for a short duration. Now I was very excited when I saw this on the Shotgun hand cannon, but it turns out that this does not give the full benefit of 1-2 Punch like it does for the special ammo shotguns. You essentially get like half of the effect, which is still pretty nice if you're going on a melee build. It just increases your damage even more, and considering how often you're gonna have this up, pretty much all the time, so I definitely think it's still worth it for PvE. It's still gonna make your melee builds even stronger, but I did want to at least let you know that you're not getting the full benefit of 1-2 Punch with this type like shotgun hand cannons. Next we have Trench Barrel. After hitting something with our melee, it increases the damage of our next 3 shots by 50%. This one's gonna be very good, and it's gonna make the weapon a lot deadlier for PvE. And you can pair this up with Vorpal, meaning that you get the 20% increased damage from Vorpal, and then on top of it you get the 50% increased damage from Trench Barrel, meaning that some of those big enemies are going to be taking lots and lots of damage for those 3 shots, and you're probably going to be able to take them down. And lastly, the final perk is Opening Shot, and this is going to improve your accuracy and range on the opening shot of the attack. We get 20 aim assist, 25 range, 5 decrease to the accuracy cone, and 5 decrease to the cone growth, meaning that we're just going to be able to hit people farther away with that first shot, making sure that we always hit full damage on that first shot. And this is what I've been using mostly when running Crucible with this hand cannon ever since it dropped. I got a couple like opening shot rolls, and it did make it feel a little bit more consistent. I was hitting people a little bit farther away than I expected. So I think this is actually gonna end up being the best thing for your hand cannon, just to make sure that you always land full damage on that first shot. As long as you do that, you already are gonna have an advantage against other people that may have this hand cannon, or other people that just maybe don't think that they're gonna be damaged as much as you are gonna hit them for. A lot of people were caught off guard just because of how far away I was actually able to hit them with Opening Shot. So you want to go for max consistency with this weapon, I think Opening Shot is definitely what you want to go for. And now let's move on and let's talk about some God rolls when it comes to this weapon. We'll talk about some Crucible ones, we'll talk about some PVE ones, but I think today we're going to be starting with Crucible. Now for the Crucible, I think Threat Detector or Lone Wolf paired up with Opening Shot are going to be your best bets, but you can also mess around with Adagio again with Lone Wolf or Threat Detector, and I think these are going to be the best ones. Now, a Barrel Constrictor plus Adagio, if you want to go use full in on getting follow-up kills, might be worth looking into, but I would say that this is going to be more effective in like 6v6 modes. Now for PvE, you have more choices, but they're all going to be around either 1-2 punch or Trench Barrel. If you want to just do as much damage as you can with Trench Barrel, then Trench Barrel plus Multiple Weapon is going to be fantastic. Trench Barrel plus Proximity Power is also going to be very good. Or if you want to go with Trench Barrel plus Grave Robber, so you constantly putting more bullets into the mag, it's also going to be pretty nice. Now, if you want to go with 1-2 punch pairs up really well with Proximity Power, and it's also going to pair up really well with, again, Multiple Weapon, just because it gives the weapon more damage. And for any PvE activity, Threat Remover is just going to be amazing, just because it gives you tons and tons of reload speed, handling, and stability. And since you're always going to be constantly hitting enemies with every pellet, you always have this up, always having to do some crazy reload speed. So those are going to be the roles that I think that you guys should be going for on this weapon. And let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? What are you guys going to be going for on this weapon? Are you going to be going for a God roll on this weapon? Let me know in the comments below. Overall, I've really been liking this weapon. In the background, you might just see PvE gameplay, because I accidentally ruined my PvP gameplay. And all those hours that I played with this weapon, they just didn't come out great. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. Leave a like if you did, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Peace.